Thank you very much indeed, Mr. President. I rise to speak on this government motion today to mandate the vaccine for members of Parliament under threat of suspension from this chamber. And I should start by, I suppose, letting everybody know that I am fully vaccinated. I've mentioned that a couple of times before, but I'll mention it again. It seems to be the topic of the moment. But despite the fact that I am fully vaccinated, can I make an appeal for tolerance? We have a government which is involved in conflict to a huge degree. It's a part of its business. Divide and conquer is the old way of saying it, and nobody does that quite like Daniel Andrews and his government. But could I put out an appeal for tolerance? We have had people, and I've seen people on Facebook and in newspapers and all over the place, ripping into each other, vaccinated versus unvaccinated, anti-vaxxers versus pro-vaxxers. Hey, this should be a decision that everybody is entitled to. That should be respected by everybody else. That's what it's about. I know that Daniel Andrews doesn't respect you if you don't agree with him, if you don't do what he tells you to do. But let's not stoop to the standard of Daniel Andrews, shall we? You know, let us lift ourselves up to a much higher plateau. Let us respect each other as human beings, respect each other as individuals, and respect each other's choices. That's what we should do. We are Australians. That's what Australians are known for throughout the world, until recently. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to that. Now, I have to say to you that apart from those in aged and healthcare, where I believe a vaccine is, well, it's logical, isn't it? It protects patients, it protects elderly people, and of course it protects the workers as well. Apart from those particular instances, I don't believe that there should be any mandate of the vaccination at all. I believe that that is a breach of human rights. I believe that that is something that we as a parliament should not be condoning. You know, if we're fair income about looking after people, we shouldn't be telling them what they can and can't do with regard to their own personal health. That to me does not make a lot of sense. We should encourage people if we want to, but let's not force them. Let us not force them to do anything. When people have contacted me about expressing their views one way or the other on the vaccine, I've given them one piece of advice. Go and talk to your doctor. I don't know, I'm a politician. I'm not a doctor. Go and talk to your doctor. Do what I did. Go and talk to your doctor, see what he or she says, and follow that advice if you are so inclined. And I think that's probably, if I do say so myself, probably the best piece of advice that anyone can offer. Is to go to your doctor. But instead, we have from this Premier a heavy-handed approach, the bullying approach. And doesn't he love being a bully? Doesn't he love being a bully? This bloke that we have as Premier of this state is one of the greatest bullies that we've ever seen in public office in this nation, if not the biggest. Quite frankly, it disgusts me. It disgusts me. And I understand why people are so angry at him. I understand why people who are about to lose their jobs tomorrow are so livid. I understand some of the more extreme language, I suppose. I don't support it, but I can certainly understand the sentiment behind it. People should not be discriminated against because of the medical decisions they make. It's a pretty fair and reasonable thing. But here we have a motion before this Parliament today to do just that. To discriminate against members of Parliament on the basis of a decision that they have made about their personal health. It's just beyond imagination. You know, if somebody had told me this a couple of years ago, that this would be happening in the Victorian Parliament now, you know, I would have had them possibly committed, because this is just way beyond anything that one could have possibly imagined. Now, I've been told for many years that the doctor-patient relationship is sacrosanct, absolutely sacrosanct. If you go to your doctor, what you discuss between yourself and your doctor is sacrosanct. We now have a situation where Daniel Andrews is turning it into a threesome. He wants to impose himself into every conversation between a doctor and their patient. That's not on. That's not on. That breaches every level of reason in my view. This motion fails on a number of counts. It fails on a number of counts, and one of the biggest ones is the total lack of justification. As Mr. Davis and I think Ms. Crozier said as well, where is the Cho advice on this? You know, is this another curfew? Because we know that there is no justification for the curfew. We know that. We found that out last year. There's no medical justification for it. There's no law and order justification for it. This was an idea, presumably by the Premier, to lock people up overnight. Is this another idea of the Premier to kick his political opponents out of Parliament if they don't do the right thing? Is this what the Premier is proposing? I'm sorry? Yeah, we have seen it before, yes indeed. Yes indeed we have. And this is something that we cannot possibly support, unless of course the government can come up with the public health advice to support it. But it can't. It won't. Why not? Why not? What is the government hiding? And why have they been hiding it for so long? Totally mystifying, and you can understand the level of disgust that people in the community have toward this government. Banning elected MPs on the basis of their health status isn't, in fact, an attack on the people of Victoria. It's not an attack on MPs. It's an attack on the people that we all represent. It's saying to the people of Victoria, you don't matter. We can turf your representative out because, let's face it, we're here, whatever our views may be, whatever our region may be, we are here representing the people of Victoria. What this government is saying by this motion is that your views, certain views, don't matter. Now, we know that the Premier honestly believes that. He honestly believes that his view on everything trumps everybody else's. We know that. Again, a bully of the first order. A bully of the first order. And that is something that I have to say I just can't tolerate. I've strongly been of the view for a very long time that bullies should never be rewarded. They should never be rewarded. There's only one way to treat a bully, and that's to stand up to them. And that's what I'm doing here today to the Premier of Victoria. I will not be bullied by Daniel Andrews, and nor should any of us be bullied by Daniel Andrews. It's not on. It's not on. It cannot be tolerated. Now, I can rationalise a lot of things, and we do in this place from time to time, you know, to make our lives perhaps a little bit easier from time to time. Yeah, sometimes we can do that, but you can't rationalise this. You can't rationalise this. I mean, there are some very, very important principles involved here, and I have to say to you, Mr. President, and to the House, and this has probably been a major failure of mine throughout my career. When it comes to principle or politics, I'll go with principle. It's probably cost me, well, not probably, most certainly has cost me enormously over the years. But that's the way it is as far as I'm concerned. And there's no doubt that the principles involved here cannot be ignored. They must not be ignored. The use of coercion to force a medical procedure on someone against that person's will is wrong. It's totally wrong. Totally unacceptable. To deny Victorians representation in the Parliament is wrong. It's wrong. I mean, who could possibly argue that that's okay? It's totally wrong. Discrimination. Now, we talk a lot about discrimination. No, everything is about discrimination here and discrimination against this, that and the other thing. But here we have a classic case of discrimination on medical status. Discrimination on medical status. Now, where else but the Parliament of Victoria would you see that happening? Would that be allowed? Would that be encouraged? Where else? Nowhere else. Here it is. Here it is. Here we are. We're supposed to be the leaders of the community, and here we are attempting to legislate for discrimination based on somebody's medical status. Just unbelievable. You know, the world's gone mad. The world has absolutely gone mad. It's wrong. It's wrong. Totally wrong. And to violate somebody's right to medical privacy. So totally wrong to say, unless you can prove that you're vaccinated, you cannot come and you cannot sit in the Parliament. So wrong. So wrong. This motion is possibly one of the worst pieces of material that we have seen, at least that's something else, one of the worst pieces of material that we have seen come before this Parliament. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the amendments and thinking about some of the amendments that are coming up, and I'm hoping that we might be able to adopt some room for movement, as it were. I'm very much looking forward to that, because as things stand at the moment, as this motion is at the moment, I cannot support it. I cannot support it, and I will not support it. As this motion stands, I will, unless it is amended to the point where I'm happy with it, I will not support this mandate for MPs or for anybody else apart from the limited number of people that I spoke about earlier. I will not support this mandate of vaccination, and I will most assuredly oppose this motion.